VR Chat, the next frontier. These are the experiences from Gunters' universe. His continuing mission? To seek out and connect with VR devs and passionate enthusiasts. To discuss theories, beliefs, and rhetoric of all kind. And to boldly go where no show has ever gone before.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Gunters' Universe. Glad you all can make it. On tonight's show, I've got 4 great guests here from the community joining us to talk all things VR. And when I mean 4 guests, I mean 3 guests. And first, let's introduce Ruuubick. He's a member of the road team at AltSpace VR. How you doing, Ruuubick?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Right on. We also have OlivierJT, developer of Synthesis Universe, a VR title in development. Synthesis Universe is a musical universe. The main civilization lives in a giant volcano, and their technology is music. How you doing, Olivier?
Great, amazing. Little late, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's always late there in France when the show starts. Really appreciate you guys coming out. And we also have Matt Turndrup, author of Road to VR and UploadVR. He covers all kinds of virtual and augmented reality topics, and he's based out of Los Angeles, where he's tapped into a large VR community out there. How you doing, Matt?
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
And before we dive into group discussion, I'm just going to do some quick announcements here. Was able to attend the Atlanta VR meetup this last Sunday. It was really cool. Met a bunch of people doing demos out there, and also Bobby Blackwolf, a popular gaming podcaster, was out there, and he did his live podcast. The event was really cool. It's this place called Battle and Brew, and it was epic. There was StarCraft everywhere, Dota everywhere on big screens, and tons of gaming stations, and just tons of great beer and that sort of thing. So thanks to Annie and Peter for facilitating that. Yeah, it was like, I wish I lived over there. It's just a couple hours away. So I'm definitely going to go back and just play some games. And also thanks to Bobby Blackwolf for having me on his live podcast. That was really cool to be a part of that. So the game Gear VR Jam is underway, so we will definitely be talking about that in a little bit. So that's something in the news. Also, Rev VR podcast episode 101 came out, titled Delivering VR Video Content, and he talks with Alex Rosenfeld and Kuanwei Wan. I hope I'm saying that right. And also Vive Dev Kit sign-ups is available, and we're definitely going to talk about that as well. And also just to note that if you're playing GTA this weekend, I hear you'll be receiving double the XP. So that would be great for you guys. Unfortunately, I cannot make it due to other commitments, so I'm very sad. I will be left behind. Okay, let's jump into the discussion portion of the show, which is the reason you are all here. First up is the Gear VR Game Jam, which is underway. So we have a few milestones for the developers that are working on stuff for that. It's running from April 13th to May 11th. And yesterday, developers had to have their pitch in. Hopefully, you all were able to put that in and get that in time. And so next Monday, they have to put give the screenshots of what they're working on over to the Oculus folks for review. And on May the 4th, they need to have their video demo submitted. So hopefully they'll get that in time. It's got to be crunch time for many people. I know a few that are working on titles, and I don't think they'll be sleeping in the next month. And then the final build is due May 11th, so it's going to be really exciting to hear more about that, and eventually, see who comes out of that winners, and just really see all that cool content that we're all going to be able to get our hands on. Well, I guess at least us with Gears. I do wonder if these sort of titles are going to be ported over to DK2. I assume that could happen. So what do you guys think of the Game Jam, and do you have an answer to that question? Do you think these things will be available on DK2?
Probably they're gonna release on Oculus Share for free. That's one step. And after on DK2, well, I don't see why there should be any issue. But Yeah, a lot of optimization have been done using Unity. With Unreal Engine 4, it's a little bit more complicated. So it's pretty new for Unreal Engine since 4.7 should be better at 4.8. But I don't know anybody who's submitting using Unreal Engine 4, by the way.
That's good. Good thing to note there. I haven't heard anything either. I guess it might be a little too demanding for the mobile platform, or they're just technical limitations where it's not supported as much.
Yeah, it's more recent. As Unity development was begun nearly not a year ago, but at least 8 months. Where Unreal Engine 4, the first implementation that was available for developer was like 3 days before GDC, so that was around March 10. And otherwise it was previews and so on, and it's not that easy for Unreal Engine 4. But it looked promising. They are making a lot of optimization, and that's a great thing, of course.
And Ruuubick, what do you think about the game jam?
Well, being an outsider, I think that everybody is really expecting great things and everybody is really focused on it. People like maybe stop working on their other projects to focus on the jam, and that's normal. I mean, 300k and the public exposure that you would get if you win is astronomical. So it's a good thing, and I really hope everything is going to be on the DK2 too, because I guess if you want content for the Vive, everything that's going to be on the DK2 is going to be on the Vive also. So it'd be a great move if there was a lot of content for DK2 when the Vive is the CV1. So yeah,
Right.
If all the things that I make for the jam are available on the CV1, then they have a lot of content to show for.
Certainly wouldn't make sense not to do that, and I would feel like I'm missing out on a lot, and that would be a shame. So I'm sure that's I just haven't heard anybody really speaking to that specifically, but gotta try all that new stuff. That's what's exciting. We get a whole bunch of new content. I read that Technoless Blair is working with the VRBit's Mark Schramm to create Technoless Thought Crimes, which is really cool. I don't think there's much known about that project yet, but I saw that in the news. As well as Private Eye. I don't know if you guys remember that demo on DK1. Yeah. I really enjoyed that. It's a cool little seated experience, and you kind of were observing a scene outside your window and looking at through binoculars and kind of picking up on some sort of mystery, maybe crime thing. I can't completely remember. And have you guys heard of any other announcements on demos that are announced in the jam?
Not really. It's hard to say because I'm in contact with developers, but I'm not sure they want people to talk about it yet. There's a feeling of competition this time.
For sure. Yeah, these were stuff covered by like VR Focus and whatnot that people have publicly announced. So it's cool to be able to hear about some of those projects that are going on and not completely have everything in secrecy.
That's probably the first one I've seen. First time I've seen the devs being secretive like they are. They pretty much talk all the time about things that are pretty secret, and about the jam, like we've only now just heard about what people are working on, and not even working on, like what the theme and what's the genre of their games. And that's all we got, and that's pretty cool too, because it's like everything is going to appear like at one time, and we're gonna get like a huge wave of content that nobody's gonna be able to handle, and that's gonna be awesome, because I'm sure it's gonna be many great games coming out of the jam. It always happen with the jams, always cool things appearing.
Yeah, it should be an interesting jam in a way that now all the developers have a lot of experience in VR. I say a lot of developers. I mean the one in our little community, so they have more than a year of experience, and some have been experimenting a lot with optimization. And with the Note 4, you really have to optimize like crazy. So that should be really interesting, and they will get a lot of good things out of that.
Do you remember how awesome the jam was for the DK1 and how much content came out of that? That was awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
But Ruuubick, I'm not being secretive. I'm not doing anything for the jam.
Yeah. That's a secret. But yeah, and there's like the Vive Jam that's going to be going for 2 days, and I don't know I don't know how it's going, because it's like only 3 Vive available for like 50 developers. I don't know how they're going to make it work, but if they manage to make it work, that's going to be insane, because making content for the Vive has to be incredible, since you can use all the space that's going to be given to you.
Yeah, it's really quite a busy year for VR developers and, of course, VR in general.
Yeah, it's really starting to get really crazy now.
Yeah, you can't keep up with it all, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's Morpheus version 2 coming too within a month or two. So that's, there's a lot of, the hardware is really coming.
Now, so stuff like this, this jam and the Vive Jam are really important, because that's what we really need is the content.
Yeah.
And so that VR Jam, the Vive Jam is, I read this, hosted by Alex Schwartz of Alchemy Labs, which he did the job simulator. That was one of the demos you could try on the Vive GDC.
Yeah, I haven't tried that.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a pair of Vive units there, and that's happening on Saturday, May 9th, so a lot of crossover with these different jams, so I can only imagine what these developers are trying to coordinate and figure out, and it's got to be tough decisions.
Yeah.
And we also saw on the Steam community page, steamcommunity.com/SteamVR, that dev kit sign-ups are available. You can submit to request that you get one of the developer editions, which will apparently be given out later this spring and throughout the summer. What do you guys think of that? Olivier, do you want one of those?
Oh yeah.
No
Of course. Yeah, I need input. I need input to move forward in everything I do. Especially because recently I had a little bad surprise, but so I really need to be vived. That's for sure.
Right. Revive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well.
HTC Vive now. It's official.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's great. I'm happy that they on the page themselves they still are saying coming this spring, because there was just a rumor that it was coming maybe in July and so on. That scares me a little. But yeah, I submitted, of course. A few of us did, and there's no confirmation, nothing. So it's really, it looked like a blank shot. So let's hope everything goes well for everybody.
Do we know how much they're giving away?
Supposedly 1,100.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not only a made-up number from like a news website, but that's the only number I've ever heard. So.
Same. Cannot confirm. Which is a kind of a lot in some way.
Yeah. For really close dev kit, yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I can't wait to, just, I hope it comes out in December. I hope that's reality. I still, I don't know, I'm always hesitant for things. Oh, is it supposed to be in November?
Oh yeah, November.
The latest is December.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, I'm always skeptic when it comes to release dates, and I was even before we got all these dates from Kickstarter. I mean, that's a totally different thing from distributor like HTC and of course Valve, but
Yeah.
still, big, huge game companies always, are delayed for good reasons, and, they have tons of funds and know-how, so we'll see.
I think a release date around Christmas has to be one of the best decisions you could make. If they can, actually do it and release around December, that make things really easy for them.
Do y'all think that the controllers for the dev kits are going to be wireless?
Yes, they said it
They should be. Yeah, they should be.
Yeah,
Would that mean that the base stations are going to sync through wireless as well? Because right now they have an Ethernet cable attached to them.
The lighthouse, they have. The lighthouse bays are just powered.
The dev kits that I saw have an Ethernet cable attached to them, but they're supposed to go towards an infrared syncing unit, I guess. But
Yes.
I'm not sure. I just haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, it's hard because we don't have that hardware. But the wireless should be. It was supposed to be ready for GDC, and it was a little bit harder than they thought. So between GDC and the release, they should have that working, hopefully. But it's okay, because even if it's wired, it's kind of okay. I mean, it's not gonna be like a Hydra where the wire are attached to a base that is sitting on your desk, and that you are basically yourself attached to your desk and attached to your computer using the HMD. But with the Vive, even if it's wired, the wired will can be rerouted to your own belt and together with the HMD. So it's kind of it's manageable.
Do you think that the controllers have already passed its FCC or something like that inspections to just get it onto the market? Do you think it's already passed those inspections?
Probably not, because they couldn't get the wireless working, but for GDC. So maybe they did the test pretty recently. I'm not sure. These are very unofficial test, and not, most of the hardware developers don't publish that kind of events.
I wonder if it has to be public, or if they want to actually say it once it's done, because they probably have to change a lot of stuff before the release, so it probably won't be done before a few months. I don't know. It seems hard to do it 6 months before when the hardware is still changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that kind of brings up the whole STEM issue, because they failed their FCC
Oh yeah.
compliance,
STEM.
and we still
That's
haven't
probably
heard
the
anything.
saddest.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget when the date is that they had their next test. It should be any day now, and then that would determine if they're actually going to be able to ship something in July, or if it's still all fakakta.
Yeah, I don't think it matters anymore. For the few people who are gonna use it, once they get their hands on the Vive, I don't know. And
regarding the price, so the price of STEM, it's not gonna be affordable. It's supposed to be like $350 or something. So that's gonna be a big investment. I see STEM going in a business more toward not professional, but professional or some kind of attraction for people, arcade style of event.
Definitely.
For the consumer.
Yeah, I could see them going into Disney or theme parks or something like that, possibly.
Definitely. Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I mean they are still a gold sponsor at SVVR, so will they have anything to show for at SVVR this year, or are they just gonna be trying to get their soul back of all the people they lost during the last
Well,
6
you know,
months.
the demo they have with the lightsaber is really enjoyable, and they switched to Unreal Engine 4 for GDC, and it's really a crowd magnet. And you put that in a room, everybody want to try that. Everybody want to play with lightsabers and so on.
Yeah, but not spend $600.
Yeah, well, you know, just for the experience.
Yeah.
Have they run into
Yeah,
any
that's true.
legal
That was awesome.
troubles yet with like using the lightsabers and stuff like that?
They, no, I talked to them about that, so I cannot say too much. But in general, the rule is, it seems that Disney has changed its, is more flexible, and if you create content that that doesn't damage the IP, or you know, don't do some crazy ugly things with the IP, then they kind of let you through it. If you don't make money, I mean.
So no like Star Wars porn or nothing.
Yeah, probably not the franchise name, but lightsaber is okay, I guess.
Yeah, things that are inspired seems to be okay now.
Hmm.
We never had, you know,
really-
there was a trench demo on DK2, and we didn't hear any season disease and that kind of thing, so.
Yeah.
Battle of Endor.
Yeah,
But
that one too.
Yeah, the
Going
Sixth
back
Sense
to the-
demo is really fun.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Yeah, we all want it. We're ready. It's cool. Give it to us, but it's not easy.
Let's
It's
break
easy to
our
say, guys.
things at home.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. All we've had is Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. You excited about Avengers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
More excited about Star Wars and Jurassic Park and I mean,
Yeah,
everything. It's gonna be insane. Star Wars a bit more.
Yeah, I wanted to show some videos of that, but we can't do that tonight. But yeah, Star Wars is looking pretty darn good. It's got me excited.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the prequels. I think they're rubbish. But yeah, this J.J. Abrams, you know, he seems to be doing it right. What do you guys think?
I haven't seen the trailer. I'm keeping myself for it.
Wow.
I don't watch trailer anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Because now American trailer are such a spoilers on absolutely everything. So I've watched so many movies now that I only need basically the title to see the poster, the actor, and the director, and I already have an opinion on it. And I'm now very rarely wrong. So that's I don't need to see trailers anymore.
I would advise everybody who hasn't seen the last Jurassic Park trailer to not watch it, because they made such a big deal of now showing the big T-Rex basically, and they basically showed it entirely in the last trailer, so there's nothing really to look for anymore. I was really hyped, and now that I've seen the actual, well, every single thing there is to see in the movie in the trailer, I'm not really looking forward to anything anymore.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Even with the Avengers, they released a couple more teasers, and it's like, you know, Iron Man versus the Hulk, and there was, you know, some spoilers there that indicate, you know, another character that I can tell is going to be in there, but I had no idea. That would have been great to have that surprise. So what's going on? I guess do we live in this, you know, age now that everything gets leaked, so they're just going to go ahead and leak it, or it doesn't really hurt them to do this, does it?
Well, I don't know, it's supposed to be someone's job to make a trailer, and then, I mean, it's not published immediately, somebody has to watch it, and then say, okay, just let's make this live. So I guess somebody's responsible for every time a trailer is being released with spoilers, and, I don't know, just the fact that showing everything in the movie. The trailer of Star Wars and, I don't know, Deadpool or Batman versus Superman, the trailers are okay because they haven't shown anything and it's just really cool, but yeah, trailers like Jurassic Park are really awful and ruin everything every time.
I guess that's because of the timing. Like, those movies are coming out soon, whereas, like, Batman vs. Superman's still a ways off, as well as Deadpool. And I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll
but
see
just the
spoiler
title.
trailers then.
Every time, you just have to announce something, and people are excited about it. And if you just basically show too much, that's it. Nobody wants to see it anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Has there been any Jurassic Park, like, actually branded Jurassic Park VR experiences? I know, like, Crytek has their, like, dinosaur thing and stuff like that, and Oculus or whatever shows it with their Crescent Bay, but has Jurassic Park come on and be like, hey, we might put a dinosaur in front of you yet?
It's been done, like, basically on everything. I mean, on the Morpheus, they're dragon, or on the DK2 we have now a few demos showing dinosaurs. I don't know, basically everybody made a demo about dinosaurs, but not like a really fancy one. But the one that
zombie and dinosaur are everywhere.
Yeah, a few weeks ago maybe, just called Dinosaurs VR, I think, on the DK2 is incredible. Like, there's like 15 dinosaurs to actually watch and walk around, and it's really cool to see that.
I want to ride dinosaurs that shoot lasers. That's what I want.
But we
can
really
be arranged.
There was, the Smaug demo, I guess, is the dragon one. I don't know. Is that no good?
I was excited about this one, and somebody told me that was really not that good. Like, it has nothing to do with the actual screenshots and what people told about it. Just like a tech demo that didn't really look that good and didn't really have anything to do with the movie itself. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I didn't really even dig the movie.
Yeah, nobody really
I
did.
was let down. Yeah. I just saw it like a month ago. I don't know. What'd you say?
I like them.
Yeah. I like the first two. This last one, though, Last Hobbit, was just not worth it for me.
The love triangle ruined it for me.
Oh God.
Yep.
I hate those injected love stories. They're ridiculous.
And we really don't need like some fancy, good-looking demos to impress people in the rifts. Like, just a basic demo of dinosaurs. You just see like a T-Rex that's 10 meters high, and that's it. You're just amazed. You don't need like to have a demo that people worked on 6 months on it with 100 team people. Just not necessary. Anything new will impress everybody every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it's for us, we already have seen that because we've been using DK1 and DK2, and we have nearly than 2 years of experience with VR. But for the main consumer, everything is coming and is brand new. So if you have a company that released a dinosaur experience right now, like if they say Jurassic Park, they'll be able to say on the business wide, this is the first Jurassic Park experience. It will be. And so for the consumer, everything is new.
Yeah.
Yet.
Good point. Well, speaking of like movies, we can segue into another topic that I thought we could discuss, which is storytelling in VR. There's a couple things out that I saw recently that hit on this. There is a company called IndustryChanger that is working on a demo called The Fifth Sleep, and it's basically you're a scientist being sent into the mind of a coma patient, and your goal is to wake him up while testing a new nano robot camera called the Proteus. And what's interesting is there's real-time decision making that the user will have to do, and basically force him to make morality decisions and decide whether to pull the patient out of his own mind and stuff like that. And I found that really interesting to kind of have this great find it really interesting, VR and storytelling, and how you're going to allow these different choices and yet, still come out with a feeling like you're making hard decisions. And uh, I don't know, really the trailer captivated me, and it's kind of hard to describe, and that was something I wanted to show tonight. But did you guys get to see any of that, or want to talk about storytelling in VR in general?
I haven't seen the InnerSpace demo or anything, sadly. I know them personally, but I didn't took the time to try all the demo. But VR storytelling is it's very exciting. It's a big research right now, and yeah, there's a lot of experiment to do with VR, but especially with storytelling, because it's really blending movies and VR, and there's a whole chunk of the industry that, for example, Oculus want to have a part of with their VR studio, and yeah, it's an interesting field. It's very different from games where you need to build your asset, think about real time and optimization. Where if you do things like kind of interacting cinema, you can bypass a lot of technical issue that you can have with games right now in VR.
Storytelling might be the hardest and the easiest thing to do in VR, because everybody will, I mean, if it's done right, everybody, no matter what language you're speaking, what age you are, you will understand what's being said. And the best example I have got is the Birdie Kingland demo. Reverend Kyle tried the demo on his stream, and even though every single thing that was said in the demo in French, he understood everything that was going on and what was the plot of the demo and what happened in the end. Everything was done perfectly, so he was like going through and was able to enjoy it. But if it's done like the wrong way, I guess you could lose the person really fast, and the whole experience wouldn't have any effect on somebody. It's like a movie. If you don't like it, you won't. It's like 2 hours of sitting in front of a screen. If you're in it, when it's 2 hours inside of the old experience.
Yeah. But
Matt,
it's a big solution. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That kind of experience also is starting to get popular among developers, because we are still wondering what the user is gonna, what kind of experience he will want. We still don't know if people will want to stand up for a long time, probably not, or stay seated, or what kind of input you're gonna have, where input is a big issue. But with that kind of interaction, you just need an HMD and gaze, and that's it. You can have some limited interaction, but still an enjoyable experience, and it's very approachable for anybody. A lot of people that I saw for example, in RiftMax or in VRChat that were guests, they were confused by, oh, I have an avatar, I have to walk here, I have to use a button to see it, I have to control my view, I have to be facing the camera. That's all these issues in that kind of interactive cinema experience are basically gone, because the person will be seated that way, facing a camera, facing a desk, and you won't encounter any, you can predict every behavior more easily from the user.
But I guess it also depends.
Matt's out there in LA. He must have seen something at these shows you've been going to.
Yeah, so being that Hollywood has been like telling stories for a while, what seems to happen on like the storytelling thing out here is that they create these scenes and then people watch them, right? So it's not necessarily interactive. Yet with Hollywood, it seems that they're putting people in these scenes anyway, right? So what I'm kind of trying to get at is like, I don't know if storytelling is the right word or not, because instead of like watching or telling like somebody what it is, you're putting them in the story, right? So that they interact with it. and it just seems like it's a progression of like starting from a campfire to watching TV to now putting people in the story.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see the progression happen.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should have a new name for it. Shouldn't even be storytelling, should be story experiencing. Doesn't sound that great, but I mean, you're basically going through the entire story yourself, and with interactivity or not, you're just inside of it, you're part of it now.
It's like the difference
Yeah,
of, you know, reading a book or those choose-your-own-adventure books, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
kind of like the Ghostbusters series and stuff. You get to choose your own experience. It's interesting. But like another thing is like it seems like Hollywood has already been putting people in the stories through like motion capture and stuff like that, right? So like it's been happening for a while, but now it seems like it's just hitting more people. Like if you were to film a movie, you'd put like 1 or 2 people into this virtual environment, and then now we're putting like millions of people coming up. It's just like a huge proliferation onto the scene, which is kind of ridiculous, like how fast it's been like spreading now.
Yeah, you know, the industry in general is always looking for the new thing, and especially the movies where when they create, when they do character design or special effects, they always want to have their own identity to any kind of effect or to any kind of creature or mood. So it looks different than other movies and other competitors. And VR is a very good way to feel very different right now. But it's probably gonna inflate and then burst like everything, where people are gonna be, oh well, VR, we need to design some real experience and think them through, not just putting them into a 360 video like QuickTime was back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess VR had to happen in the way that we've had television, we've had cinema, and we were missing some sort of a screen to get like a new experience for the year 2000, and VR had to happen this way. So maybe the film industry felt obliged to get on the VR bandwagon to actually do something new and to reinvent the cinema, or at least the storytelling experience. If they didn't do that, or if VR didn't work, I wonder how many centuries we should have waited for actually get a new screen experience instead of going to the cinema.
So with virtual reality coming out like towards the end of the year and next year, and it's going to be in the home, and people can experience these like experiences at home, do you guys think that it's gonna diminish the sales for like a movie theater attraction? Are we gonna see a diminishing for that, and then that's gonna cause the cinemas to have to upgrade to what the next immersion's gonna be?
No, I guess it's gonna be the same way. Every single services that provide the same thing on another platform. I guess it's like Netflix and TV. I mean, it does reduce the price people pay for their TV, but also they spend money on Netflix. So I guess the money is never lost; it is redirected somewhere else. But I don't see people using the Rift as a real cinema. Maybe in a few years, but now the resolution is not really that good to actually watch a whole movie in. Even though I've done it countless times, I don't see like the average consumer do it. So maybe in a few years there's going to be a service that allow you to, I don't know, spend $5 on a movie ticket that you can actually enjoy yourself in a virtual cinema instead of having to the cinema. So I guess the money that's going to be saved on paying someone at the cinema, cleaning the cinema, running everything basically, is going to be used on getting servers, someone to design a room, cinemas. I mean, the money will never be lost. It's going to be somewhere else, somewhere it's needed to be.
Yeah, for me not yet. We always see when there's a new technology, there's always people who are saying, oh, look, TV is going to replace movies. Nobody will go to the movies anymore because we have big TVs. And now VR, the computer, they are saying computers are going to replace TV. Nobody watch TV anymore. And VR with the movie, it's movies are still a social experience where you look on your side and you have your friends and you can share the experience together, smiling, or there's that kind of interaction that in VR is not going to come for a long, long time, with facial expression and that kind of thing, and it will still look kind of weird. The social aspect is pretty important in the movies still. Imagine, we're going to have like Star Wars back in December or something, and you probably did the premiere of some big movies, and the mood in the theater is insane usually. Even the queue, people lining up in costumes and being overexcited. That will never change.
Yeah, that's a good point. I still can see a lot of this being disrupted, though. I mean, VR is going to disrupt a lot of mediums, and the content's still going to be desired, but yeah, the delivery mechanisms, I can see that, starting to decline. We see radio, that medium really does, it still is out there, and it's pumping stuff out, but I don't think people, the advertising business doesn't quite, get what they used to out of radio, so that medium is sort of going away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what changed also is the access to the way you consume video products. TV right now is in decline because people are doing stuff and they say, yeah, I want to watch my movie right now at this time, not half an hour ago, not in 2 hours. I don't want to wait for Tuesday to watch my movie because it's on Tuesday. They want to have access to content now. Movies are a different kind of beast, and it's a different kind of schedule.
Yeah,
you do it on Sundays with family or whatever is your own movie rhythm.
Like Olivier said, it's all about access, and there's the easier, the easy way of access. Like if it's really interactive and comprehensive for the user, is gonna go for it. And also if it's fast for him. Like we've seen Netflix arrive from nowhere, and instantly it is available on multi-platforms, instantly across all of them. And people, that's what they want, and that's what they like. If it is instantaneous and widely available on everything you got, then people will go for it no matter what. It's like pizza, getting pizza on your phone, and it seems ridiculous just to grab like your real phone, but people will just go for whatever suits them and is the easier.
It sounds like we're increasing the access, like you said, to just the amount of immersion and the amount of experiences. So it sounds like we're increasing the range of what we can do, whether that's like watch a TV show at home when they release it a certain day, or watch something on the go, or put a VR headset. It just sounds like we're increasing like the appetite and the palette for what we want to do.
Yeah, there's so much things right now. I'm watching a lot of American series and so on, and there's so much things.
And now, I mean, the content we have is like nothing. It is 0.001% of what we're gonna have like in 10 years. Because as soon as the consumer units are out, the internet is going to take over what's left of VR basically, and everybody is going to create content for either their own use, their own personal taste and what they like, or what for the communities themselves. So whatever you like, it's like the rule 34 of VR. Everything that exists, there's going to be a demo of it in VR. At some point, everything you want is going to be a demo made by someone. You probably going to be people that are going to pay bitcoins or whatever to have a demo made for them. There's going to be so much content we won't be able to gather everything in one website or Oculus Share or I don't know, whatever other websites we got now.
Yeah, the content creation is gonna be insane. Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, so if everything is available, like if every possibility of anything that you want to do, like any idea, any experience that you want is going to be available, is that going to like spread us thin? Is that going to like how do you choose like what's going to, I guess, like evolve us as a society towards something, I guess, that would benefit us all? Like how, like it just seems like if you have every possibility to do stuff, you're just gonna get looped up in certain stuff that might not necessarily benefit your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, and that's why people are concerned. Like, it's the people that have kids or wives or I don't know, responsibilities. After all, they cannot just put the headset and the headphones and go for it because you can probably get lost for a few hours. And if you have a kid in the background, that's not really a good idea. So I guess only a small portion of people will be able to enjoy VR at the fullest. Like, just go for 4 hours session at a time like I used to do in Elite Dangerous on Alien Isolation. People won't be able to do that. Maybe in their free time at some point, but if at some point everybody has a headset in their home, it is only probably going to be for recreational use, like to go see a movie or relax with the guided meditation demo, or I don't know. It's not going to be for long hours of sessions of gaming. Maybe for the kids, the adolescents and the young adults, but for the majority of the people, it's just going to be like something to do for a few minutes every day, but not like the people are not going to get lost with it, I guess.
Well, I think when it becomes smaller in size to fit on your head and the resolution's greater, I don't know, I don't think people are going to be able to stay away from it. I think it's going to be too compelling to be experiencing things. We see this now when people are just really moved by it and by VR and the experience is just something out of this world. And I think back to when, TV in the 80s and 90s, and your parents thought, why you watch so much TV? You're rotting your brain. You're going to screw yourself up. And then now our parents are watching just as much TV. Everybody watches TV all the time. Or now it was also the internet. Like, why do you want to spend, hours on end playing on the internet, doing crap in the 90s that looked ridiculous? And why would anybody, dial up and do a lot of the stuff that was available then, but now everybody and their grandmother's on the internet wasting, 6 hours a day on Facebook. So I don't know.
Yeah, AR is probably going to have a faster curve of adoption. Not necessarily in the gaming area, because you can see we have a table here and people are not necessarily going to play AR, but it's possible that 70% of AR is going to be, oh, I have AR, I have my text and my Facebook on my headset and I can watch that and have access to content and my email on AR.
I wonder if, when both VR and AR are kicking and part of our mainstream life, if basically both are going to be just kind of the same thing. It's all going to be the similar, delivery medium that will go in between both things seamlessly. The UI and the interfaces we have in our AR will also be there with us in our VR experiences.
I guess
more really integrated in extensions of our own self or something like that.
AR might never be able to do VR, but VR might be. Like when you see the pass-through camera on the Gear VR, that is really handy, and you could actually make a use of it, like going from VR to seeing the behind world, and I don't know, maybe get a text or UI on what you see behind. At some point it's going to be done, but I don't see how AR could do it. Like for Google Glass, for example, it doesn't entirely cover your field of view, or I don't know, there's like noise, light coming from the sides. I don't know how they could do it.
It's notification, but there's a big issue with AR where you have optical, where your eyes need to focus to different distance, and you should be able to read the text wherever that's around your look. So that's going to be another thing where with VR, you know the person will be basically looking at the screen at that kind of distance all the time.
Yeah.
So it sounds like for like AR right now on like the virtual reality side, it's like the pass-through camera, but like also like other people are trying to like Magic Leap or whatever want to like actually write the images right onto the retina. Like
Yeah.
it seems like if you're writing stuff onto the retina, you could possibly write your entire field of view, right? So it sounds like you could possibly use pass-through to start, but eventually go towards the light rays hitting your eye directly.
That's maybe the way they go at some point. And when the tech has evolved so much, you might see like a pair of glasses that acts as a VR, well, headset, but not really headset. It just projects an entire light on your retina, and if your entire retina is covered, well, they can basically project anything they want. But I don't know. It seems hard to sell to people. Yeah, I don't see it happen before a long time.
What about the possibility of setting up a projector out into a public space and then beaming it onto somebody's retina from there? Like you would have to sense where their body is directly, but it seems possible that you could like angle a projector or something like that in a real world environment to project the image onto you from a distance.
They could do it like for publicity or shops. You know, if you're just walking down the streets and you see a window of a shop, maybe, I don't know, like selling houses or just a bakery, and if they had a projector inside that recognize that you're in front of the window, it could project an image on your eye and show you like 3D images, or I don't know, make you do a tour of an apartment. But I don't know, I don't see people accepting the fact that something is projecting an image on their eyes in the middle of the street. Like, it wouldn't be either, well, safe, because there's like cars going all around you, and just because of privacy and just, I don't know, invading your personal field of vision. I don't know.
That's way up there. I think.
Yeah.
It's you know, can you imagine the distance we are here, just you and me beaming a beam of light to your retina just perfectly, and it's easy. You have a better range if the projector is close to your eyes, similar to AR. We'll probably see what's going on with Magic Leap, if anything is going on. I have no idea.
Well, if we refer to the trailer they made, it's pretty much a big load of bullshit, because that's not what I expected when I mean, they're worth like $2 billion, I think, now, and that's what they came up with on their trailer. It looks really bad and just CGI and like weird model. They even took the sound from the turret from Team Fortress 2, so I don't know where they're going with it, but it seems really shady.
Yeah, that looked too good to
Yeah,
be true.
I don't trust that video at all.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a reality, I'd certainly use that. It's pretty badass. But
And the worst part is they made that video, but like a few months or weeks before, you probably remember seeing the patents images they used for the patents, and the images were stolen from drawings that were made by other people, and it made a whole big drop in the VR community at the time. Everybody seemed to have forgot about this, and then they came up with the trailer, and that pretty much was what made me lose hope in Magic Leap, because they haven't showed anything real as of now. Well, basically to us, but the people who've tried it said they were pretty amazed by the tech, but nobody else really got a glimpse of it.
I think the best information that we have is the MIT review on Magic Leap so far. Have you guys read that one?
Nope.
Okay, it just seems like that they have the technology, but it's like a room-style demo where they're projecting something from a distance. Like, they have prototypes supposedly going towards the glasses, but they haven't been able to condense the technology down. Not as fast as the demand of the people that want like augmented reality. I think we all want like good AR, but like it like magically just can't catch up to that demand. I don't think. At least not
why make
now.
a trailer like that too?
Yeah, just bad price.
I mean, you can set the vision or something and say, you know, down the line, down the road, this is what we want to build with this. This is why it's exciting. We're going to move in this direction. But I don't know. Cool. Well, let's change gears. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just want a demo. Like I know some of the Magic Leap guys, and I'm like, come on, just give me a demo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. We need a spy in there.
Yeah, please report back after that. So Matt, I recently read a really cool article that you put out on UploadVR. I actually put it out yesterday on 4/20, which is pretty much not serendipity, but makes perfect sense for this article come out. That was about psychedelics and virtual reality. And you also mentioned that it's pretty cool. And I think I knew this, but I'd forgotten that on April 19th is sort of the birth date of LSD, when Albert Hofmann, the person who discovered LSD, first tried it. So your article is really well done and really brought an intellectual perspective on the use of psychedelics and how they've impacted technology and virtual reality, and really how it's really promoted lots of thinking and thought that drives, I think, a lot of big decisions and risk-taking. So can you talk about the article that you put out, and then we'll dive into some discussion on it?
Yeah, sure. So my interest in psychedelics kind of spurred from college, just because like it was floating around when I was going there, right? So I kind of would see what like the effects were just on like a local personal level from there. So I started researching into like just the past of it, and I got into Albert Hofmann, who synthesized it, and he accidentally got a small dose on him, and then he went on a bicycle trip on April 19th, and that kind of sparked the psychedelic revolution. And then like Ken Kesey, who wrote the book One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he went on a psychedelic road trip and kind of got the kind of like summer of love 60s mentality going around town and through the United States. And from there, LSD made its way into the labs and researchers, and they were able to kind of use it as a problem-solving intellectual tool. So people like the inventor of the computer mouse took LSD. The guy that coined teledildonics, obviously, like we've heard of Steve Jobs, and then there's rumors of like Bill Gates and stuff like that. So as I was researching that kind of information, and then later on when I got interested in virtual reality, I just kind of looked back to see how close the connection was between the two. And it seemed it is very strong, right? And I think the biggest thing that happened was just how the psychedelic community was revolved around like art and music. People who were interested in like the creative side of like just living or whatever, like who also wanted to get into like the technology, started making their way into virtual reality. and it's specifically the creation of like the virtual reality markup language for the internet back in the 90s was sparked by psychedelics, and there was people doing it because it was just an easy way to compare like an acid trip to a virtual reality experience. But I think the biggest thing that came out of like my research on it was that the celebrities like Terence McKenna and Timothy Leary, who were big on the advocacy of psychedelics, are the ones that kind of helped to popularize the medium. Like obviously like people like Will Gibson, who were authors, were able to bring it out and get it there even before the kind of psychedelic trend of virtual reality in San Francisco. But Timothy Leary and Terence McKenna and people like that helped progress the medium further and got the discussion going of how it would happen. Like obviously the hardware wasn't able to like get us what we wanted or all the people to get the true dream of it, but it was just that pairing of the psychedelic community and the people who were leading that movement also brought virtual reality to the spotlight, and I think that's the biggest thing that kind of came out of it from my research on that.
Yeah, I could see how
so it was a lot of...
Yeah,
Go
really
ahead, Gunter.
Really interesting article, and there's a lot of things in there, and I wish we could put up some videos. I mean, there were some cool videos from Terence McKenna on virtual reality. He's spoken a lot about that and cybernetics and culture creation, and then you also were showing off Tim Leary's. He was kind of dabbling in software development in the 80s with that Mind's Mirror application. I didn't know that existed. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So Timothy Leary, for those of you who haven't heard about him, he was the guy that kind of like brought LSD and stuff like that to the spotlight. So he coined the terms like turn on, tune in, and drop out, and then like set and setting and stuff like that. But when he started getting arrested, right, and he had a lot of legal pressures put on him, he was put in jail, he was just getting restricted, he was looking to try and find legal ways to like expand the mind and to digitize people's thoughts. So he worked with EA, Electronic Arts, in the 80s to develop like a experience called Mind Mirror, and it's like, I haven't tried it, but it's supposed to like help you digitize your thoughts and then help you reflect on yourself, so that you can, when you see yourself through the digital world, and you can then change yourself and then be whoever you want to be. And he was hanging around virtual reality and stuff like that, but there was supposedly virtual reality related experiences, but Mind Mirror is just the one that kind of got out to the public a little bit more, and then it kind of faded away and nobody heard about it again.
So now we have to find out if Palmer took LSD or not.
That's correct, right? Yeah. Wish we would have asked him that in our chat a year and a half ago when we had him here.
Okay. Yeah, so I doubt anybody in Oculus will admit anything now, right?
Yeah.
So what I've been trying to do when I meet like Palmer, Lucky, and stuff is I go, I want to ask you these big questions, right? But I want to ask you 5 to 10 years down the line, right? So I'm just trying to build a relationship where I can ask them later. But the thing is like there's rumors, like when people get into a spotlight, like you're going to get a lot of people looking at you. So if you start to touch your nose a little bit too much, people are going to think you're on cocaine. Or like if you're a little bloodshot, you might be smoking weed or whatever, right? So like I don't look for anybody in Oculus to be like, yeah, I'm doing this stuff, right? You know, like, or anybody, like maybe Vive and Valve would be more open, perhaps. But I think the research labs are where we're going to hear more of that kind of openness of people talking about it, you know, just because it's a scientific method trying to figure out what these things are.
Yeah. But since, like, drugs and mostly weed is being legalized everywhere in the US, I guess at some point might be normal to see people smoking weed in their office or in just big, Oculus, for example. I mean, if there's like one cool place in California, that has to be their office. So I guess they cannot admit it now because, well, it's a sensible subject. But in the future, I could see how.
So what I'm curious about it is because they are in California and it is getting more legal. It's just like just tech companies in general. What their like policy is like if I'm a creative engineer and I can bring really something to the table. I can make your experience what you want it to be. But I smoke weed. Are you gonna drug test me and then turn me down because of that? Like, I'm just curious if like people like that, like companies like that, do that, especially when they need the creative side of it.
That'd be really weird.
This makes me think of.
Gillis hasn't said anything.
It makes me think of Terence McKenna and how he would talk about virtual reality and talk about culture and about how culture isn't really your friend. And I think it hits on in this example of culture is like a boundary. It's like whether it's a religion, whether you're Jewish or Hindu or whether you're, for certain nations. What you're not really tapping into is that you're human. You're really kind of boxing yourselves in and focusing on certain cultural aspects that are kind of touted to be like really important to keep the past alive and your heritage and all these things from the past, keep them going. But I think that's sort of the expense, and this is Terrence's words, of kind of your humanness, and to reconnect back to what is really important, and it's that you're a human being and kind of the operating system that just is inherent in your system and not really these virtual operating systems of Christianity, 5.0 or capitalism, and that these things are a lot of times limiting you, such as the limitations of drug use in our cultures because of some powers and institutions deciding that we shouldn't have them and whatnot, even though these things can be very powerful or should at least be explored. And we can hear from people like Steve Jobs, who, look at an iPhone that's in everybody's pocket, or an Apple computer, or whatever. These things have changed. Phones, these smartphones have changed everything in our world. And this came from a person who says one of his 2 or 3 most important experiences is trying a psychedelic experience. So I find it really interesting when Terrence is bringing to light this sort of issues and bringing how important in a really in a respectful way, or how psychedelics can open your mind. I'm kind of losing my train of thought because there's so much going on here, but
yeah. So with that, it sounds like you're kind of like talking about like how the use of psychedelics can possibly bring out the ideas so that they can be founded in reality later on, right? Other parts of reality, and that it can be built on, right? Yeah. So if you look at like authors, people, whether or not they take psychedelics or not, they bring this idea that they have into the universe, and then other people can build on top of that, right? But here's the thing on psychedelics: when you have it in a company and people are using it, trying to develop something on these ideas, is that sometimes the people who actually build it up are not on psychedelics or drugs in general. So for instance, with like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, like Wozniak put a lot of work in, but Jobs gets the credit because of his like mind expanding thoughts or whatever. So I just think we have to be careful about like how important the drugs are in relation to what actual work gets done.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yes.
I think that though it's like, I guess we can be careful about it, but I really think that the idea is just getting out there, whether it's from this person or that person, is kind of the important thing. That the content and these and that the ideas like free information and free ideas is kind of what is important to me as just a human being. Somebody getting credit for it, that's just kind of that kind of falls in the realm of the ego and sort of these systems that are set up that they need to be financially credited for it and all that kind of stuff, and that to me isn't what's really interesting and what's really beneficial for things in the long run. So yeah, I guess so, but I don't know. I think sort of the psychedelic thing kind of broaden your perspective.
I guess what you're saying is like the important thing is to get the idea out, and we have to use whatever tools we can to get the idea out, and then be able to share it in a way that people understand it.
Right, and virtual reality being, the topic here, and what we're doing is, we're able to communicate now in this rich medium. And Timothy Leary talking about, virtuality on text-based systems in the 80s. You were able to get your thoughts out and actually share them in this sort of mind-mapped text version, which was totally unique, and you could, really pump this stuff out, and it was more rich than writing things down in books. So now we're evolving to the point where, kids now can create worlds in Minecraft and really create ideas and content, and that's where I see VR allowing us to really expand our humanness and our potential, is to come into these realms and build, as Terrence would say, like Niagaras of beauty and information to share. We are not limited anymore in virtual reality except for our time, and I think, like the mind's mirror, being able to reflect on it. I mean, imagine being able to come in here, create whatever you want, or exploring what's really in your mind, and then you get to learn more about even yourself. You're like, you wouldn't even necessarily know that you had this potential, or that was really in your subconscious. So I see virtual reality is a way to tap into our, human operating system and kind of extend that out into who knows what. It's basically something completely unknown, and that I think we should be really open to. It's not business as usual here. We should push the envelope as far as we can, and I think this medium will allow us to do that.
My acceptance of drugs is really far from, being accepted all around the world. Weed is only coming in the US, but in Europe, we probably won't see that before like 5 to 10 years. So even if it might be something that helps with VR, and because some experiences have been created for recreational use with drugs, it is going to be a really, really small part of it. But the accessibility of drugs in the US might make VR like a thing to have. If you get like usual weed, you might want a VR headset to make things a bit more interesting, or at least a bit funnier. But it might not be like centered around the use of drugs.
Well, I think combining them sounds pretty far out and awesome for me, but it's really more of how these things are similar, as they're both tools for expanding, consciousness to. You can take psychedelics to get to inside your mind and your dreams, especially when you're doing these things by yourself and paying attention to, this reason Steve Jobs, or reason myself feels like these experiences are pretty much the most profound and important experiences of my life, is because it's like where did that come from? I never thought about that stuff before. I never experienced things like that in my life. This isn't coming from my traditional consciousness. This is coming far from inside, or something completely different. And I think, continuing to do the same patterns that we always do in our life isn't really, as interesting. Being human beings means we can create, and we can, break outside of just a typical, what everybody else has done, and following the patterns that have been set out there. We want to bring back, new information that can help maybe heal and grow our civilization, not just be consumers. That's what I'm really interested about VR, is to maybe change the paradigm of consuming into more creation, since it won't be limited by, matter and resources, that you can totally build or share or create anything you want, and really externalize what's inside to people. And I think we've even heard of VR being the ultimate empathy machine, where if I could experience what you experience through your eyes or feel it or, just really tap into as much of that information as possible or how you think, then we can start going, oh, okay, well, this religion is actually the same thing as that, or, my way of ignorance actually isn't that ignorant because I'm really a good person inside, and it's just the way I'm communicating. I'm not actually able to put forth that in language, because some people struggle with certain intellectual barriers, whereas in VR they might be able to overcome that, or whatever. It kind of gets real broad here because it kind of taps into any type of potential far out stuff.
We might not create a new humanity, but definitely I think VR will affect us in a way that the internet did. Like, you could browse the internet mostly, I don't know, Reddit or your usual news website. You can see an article about something that happened at the other end of the world, and you can see maybe videos, maybe see like what a reporter said or saw there. And VR might help us in a way that we will be able to experience everything at some point. No matter where you are, no matter who you are, you will be able to be there, see what's going on, and live it. It is why there's so many revolutions everywhere in the world. It is because people are able to be and have the knowledge of what's happening. If we go to the level of being able to experience it on the first person, then something is probably going to happen with the humanity as it is. But I don't know, it would probably take a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, we got to learn how to use this. We're not really, it's not something that we've integrated. The psychedelics are sort of kind of seems like what might have started it. But yeah, the boundary of space now has collapsed. I mean, this is the perfect example. You're in California, both of you are in France. I've never had such diversity in my friendships, and now I'm having VR in my life with different people from all across the globe and caring about, other people's local communities. And so that boundary is now dissolving, and the idea is for all boundaries to start dissolving, and like being able to experience what somebody else's experience is. That's why I think VR is going to be completely profound and completely changing, not because we can deliver the ultimate movies to our eyeballs, but that we can actually kind of finally express what's inside, whereas we might inhibit that and hold it back.
So with a whole bunch of that stuff in mind, with you talking about trying to bring us as a humanity away from consumerism and stuff, right? And then talking about the internet and how that changed a lot of things, right? But if you look at the internet right now, it's very ad-based, right? And that kind of keeps us in that consumerism mindset. And it seems with virtual reality right now, a lot of the stuff that's really, really good is advertisement based, and it's not necessarily stuff that's on a public level either. And that kind of, to me, makes it seem like the people that are gonna be able to tap into their mind and really be able to change like us as a humanity are going to be a very small group of people who have the hardware, have the server capabilities to be able to do that, and then run the ads for everybody else to live in.
Because it is exactly the same thing when it comes to use of drugs in VR. I'm pretty sure that 99% of the people who will do it will create nothing out of it and will not make anything out of it. Will just be for recreational use or fun, or I don't know. But when we talk about using drugs and VR to make something, 99% of the people will do it are not smart enough to actually create something. We're not, the Steve Jobs, and other people that use drugs at some point to make something and to open their minds to new things are like 0.01% of the population that probably do drugs. So it is exactly going to be the same for VR. And in my opinion, the only thing that might make VR happen on a humanity scale has to be a video game. It has to be a sort of MMO that everybody will be able to gather on to see each other, but it probably won't be small experiences or individual experiences where everybody is just alone in that thing. That's why Elite worked so well, I think, because everybody was able to just see each other and to reunite and to be in groups. That's why VR in social experiences work so well. VR chat, Max, and AltSpace are so good because you're in a group and you're able to actually see VR as it matters. It is the personification and the you have an avatar and it's a mind behind, and that's the only thing that makes VR so interesting. It is to be able to be with everybody else. But if you're just by yourself doing drugs, it doesn't produce anything, and it's not really interesting besides for yourself.
Okay, so a thing on that, right, is virtual reality right now is so social, right? It's like the media and people, there is this fear of that it's antisocial and you're going to lock yourself in a room and you're going to wither away or whatever.
Yeah.
But like if you look at the medium actually, right, we are getting huge numbers of people coming into buildings for conferences and meetups.
Yeah.
Like this is coming in bars and stuff now, coffee shops, right? So it's already being associated with other social drugs, okay? Right? So drug use can be very social when you try and do it in like a festival area or something like that, but then it can turn you, like certain stuff can make you turn into an addict and you do go home and wither away. I think the same thing is with virtual reality. However,
it's not a drug.
I want to well, not that it's a drug, just that it's in social environments, okay?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to compare is, for the most part, the people in the social environments, I would say, who are doing drugs are not getting the best stuff, okay? They're getting what a dealer says that is good, and they necessarily can't test it, or they can't pay for the better connections to get the better stuff or whatever. I think the same is going to be in kind of virtual reality. Like you're passing out Google Cardboard to push the medium forward, but most people aren't going to get the really good stuff, right? So, and then I would go into like the people like Steve Jobs had like a connection to Stanford to get like acid, LSD, on sugar cubes and gelatin. This is not the drugs that people are getting on a social level. They're getting stuff that's being tossed off as acid now. They'll put ink on paper and then they'll put a different drug because it's cheaper. So it's just I'm trying to compare and kind of say that most people that are going to be able to use this medium or the people that are going to get the most out of the medium are going to have these huge connections to like just people, servers, hardware and stuff, and I think the most people in virtual reality are not going to get the good stuff.
I guess it depends. If you see it on a consumer base, it is a one-time purchase, and by one time I mean maybe once in a span of few years. You buy one headset and you're done for a few years. If it was like this for drugs, if you had to spend like, let's say, 1,000 euros or dollars, and you were good like for 1 year and unlimited use, like everybody would be on drugs. And that's gonna happen with VR. You have to buy one headset. It doesn't matter which one. It is a CV1, the Vive, the Gear VR. Everything is going to be like on different scale. Everything is going to be affordable, really affordable, compared to what it was like for professional users. it's going to be affordable for everybody in different forms. Like the cardboard that you mentioned, it is bad, but it is still pretty good to get people to understand that it is cheap VR and there is better. If you don't advertise it as cheap VR, of course it's going to fail because everybody is going to think that it is the maximum that you're going to get. If you advertise it as cheap VR and bad VR, everybody will want to know what's good, and they will have the money to try it. It's not like drugs. You cannot just try bad drugs or cheap ones and just be able to get like really expensive one whenever you want, because that doesn't happen. You don't have the money. But in VR, a headset just costs $300 or $400, and that's, you buy it once and you're done for a few years. And I'm pretty sure that everybody will agree on this marketing strategy. It's not something that's really expensive if you think you spend like $10 on it a month for 3 years. That is nothing, and that's why it's gonna work like for everybody else on the planet, because it is really, really, really cheap.
Well, and it's gonna evolve to where everybody can have this, and it's all going to be good. It's right now we're talking about cardboard and different levels of this stuff and whatnot. But going back to like the drugs and people getting these bad drugs and that relating to like the bad content or bad VR or whatever, the reason that we're getting bad drugs is because of the laws prohibiting these things being manufactured by people that know what they're doing and can distribute it on a safe level. We have inflated prices where people can't really afford these things or have there's no institution that says, hey, stop doing these things all the time. Use them for certain reasons. It's shown that and these are psychedelics that are really the most interesting because they help cure addictions to other drugs, to alcoholism. Psychedelics aren't really inherently that addictive. There sure can be a hell lot of fun and want to repeat that, but that you're addicted to caffeine, you're addicted to your prescription drugs, you're addicted to your TV. Those things are probably less profound and less useful to you than taking psychedelic experiences that help change something on the inside and show you a whole new thing that you never thought was even possible. So that's the whole boundary dissolving thing, and then that's how it parallels with VR and how VR can dissolve these boundaries. We will get this stuff cheap enough, and I'm losing my train of thought again because I was trying to keep up and want to chime in a whole bunch of the things that both of you are saying. But yeah, let's riff on that.
And VR, as of now, shares exactly the same story as video games. At the beginning, everybody was against it because it was, I don't know, violent, because kids spend all their times in front of their TV and consoles. It was antisocial because you were alone in front of your computer or your console. And if you look on, and if you're inside of it, you basically know that everything is untrue, and that you spend a lot of time with your friends, that you make connection with people around the world, that there is enormous conventions, that now like tournaments for video games are using stadiums and huge convention centers because there's so many people to fit in. I mean, there's I think a tournament of video games has been broadcasted on ESPN live. It is going to be huge. It's actually the same way video games are. But of course, it is going to be slow. People are going to be against it. They're going to find, I don't know, excuses not to try it. People, of course, will say that it's going to melt your brain or damage your eyes. They're going to find stuff to make you to try to slow it down, but that won't work. Like video games, it didn't work because people knew what it was, it truly was, and doesn't work on everybody else. Because we know VR is about social and real experiences, we know it's gonna work no matter what.
So with that, all that in mind, to have these worlds that like millions of people are living in, and they're creating, they're I guess to lay the foundation where people can create worlds within worlds on top of worlds or whatever,
Yeah.
that costs like a serious amount of time and money, right? And it seems like larger corporations are going to be the ones that are developing those platforms. Don't get me wrong, I think that like indie developers and those on the edge of this are going to push it in the right direction, but the corporations are going to be the ones, it seems, that are creating these platforms, and I don't know if they're going to do it necessarily in the best interest for us.
That's why we have to destroy them.
Yeah, we have the ability now. We really have the ability to do it now. The only struggle will always be money, and money is used to buy servers. That's the only thing that keep us from doing our own things. Like if we could make an MMO with thousands and thousands of players, just with an indie company, of course everybody would do it. But Minecraft does it because everybody can host a server, and people started hosting servers on private websites that made a business out of it. But nobody could handle servers of thousands and thousands of people at the beginning. And it's exactly going to be the same for VR. Some game company is going to make an MMO, or I don't know, a virtual cinema, a theater,
right.
With thousands and thousands of rooms, like Rift Max could not handle at the beginning. After it could, and even though it was really hard for the frame rate, so a company will have the money to actually handle the people. But once people are able to find a way to handle the servers and to get out of the money loop, people are going to jump out of the bandwagon every time.
Like
every time there's something better. Yeah, every time. So it's gonna take time, and I know the companies that will do it in VR at the beginning will probably do it for good, like we see in Hollywood, and the game companies are now like going on VR, doing pretty good stuff. But in the end, it's always the people that win.
The people
Content.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The people will always generate more content than the companies. You have to just looking at the internet, like all the content that there is that being produced every single second by the people on the internet, just YouTube, Tumblr, I don't know,
Wikipedia,
just sure. I mean, it is going to be insane just on the internet.
Right. So with the amount of content that we're putting on the internet, that content is being like reaped by those who have the biggest and best servers, right?
Yeah.
So it's the YouTubes and the Facebooks, the people who have those servers and those companies and I guess security behind them are essentially like making the most money out of everybody in the system, right? So the level needs to come down where in virtual reality, because it is progressing hopefully to better us as like a civilization or whatever, that we need to be like the data that we're putting into it needs to come back to us and make our lives better, like monetary at least. Like we need to have some way that it makes everybody money, I would say, on a wide scale level rather than just certain people who are reaping the benefits of everybody in the system.
Right. Like we're valuable, the content we're putting out is valuable, and why allow Facebook or YouTube to just capitalize on that when you know this is inherently ours. But I think that if we think about like 1970s to now, we've never been able in such a position to be so empowered to break out, to be distributors of our own content, to make really informed decisions, to not be, we're not as limited by our cultures and our countries or whatever than ever before. So think about how fast that's grown over the last 20, 30, 40 years, and I just would predict that that's going to keep speeding up, and things like Bitcoin and Wikipedia, these things are what's going to rise to the top, and the companies that value this. And I would say Google is a company that actually does a pretty decent job at trying to be respectful with. Yeah, they do the best job. These are companies that are going to win. Facebook will have to bow down to these type of models at some point, because everybody does have that icky feeling about Facebook and whatnot. And Twitter being a better example, but then there's still pushback with some of the ad stuff that they're doing. But I think we're in charge, and that's kind of the awareness that we need to spread. That I think we're collapsing our world, and we're sharing, communicating. Now we're like a small village again, and we're going to be like, let's slay, the giant.
Yeah.
Let's the behemoth that's keeping us down, man.
And they're doing it. Google might be the best example. In the US, you have how is it called? The internet company, the provider, the
ISP
Comcast. Yeah, Comcast.
Yeah.
Comcast.
Yep.
Everybody, you had to use Comcast basically until Google Fiber came around, and then when Google Fiber was around, everybody started to hate on Comcast for good reasons, for their support, for the low internet bandwidth they provided. On the internet, it was a big thing to hate on Comcast. And then Google announced that they, at some point, wanted to give everybody like really high-speed internet over wireless from their, from space. So if that ever happens some way, if everybody on the internet gets high-speed internet for really low price, that's going to be the end of the big companies that own the servers. Because if you see that in Northern Europe, people get like up to 1 gigabyte up internet speed. If everybody had that, there wouldn't be any problem with the servers.
Yeah, we could host our worlds.
You could host an entire planet of people on your own machine, and at some point it's gonna happen. The internet that would be available to you will be the same that companies will get. Of course, you probably won't be able to handle like 1 billion people like Facebook wants to do, but if you can create like your own experience in a game with thousands of players, you'll be able to do it, and that would be enough to generate money, more content, and then more money on more content on the internet, and that's a really good loop for people.
And the problem is the government bureaucracy and the laws, and here at Comcast you're allowed to do this shit, but some other companies can't come and do it because of backwards bullshit. They need, we're able to, I think, empower ourselves and kind of demand for something better than what has been given to us.
And we spoke about ads earlier, and it's been announced a few days ago that AdBlock is now legal in Germany. So it's not the downfall of ads on the internet. It's really far from it. But if millions and millions of people start using AdBlock, like there's already millions of us doing, at some point ads won't do anything. But we also have to acknowledge that there is really good ads. Like it's not invasive. There is ads that are actually really helpful and that do their jobs like they're supposed to. They give you a good feedback and propose you producers that you might enjoy, and that's a thing I want personally. When I go to Amazon, or I don't know, if I buy a book, I would like suggestion, and that's considered an ad too. And when Facebook bought Oculus, everybody made fun of it and like made demos of your entire vision being filled with Facebook pop-ups and ads, and that was fun. But there's bad ads and good ads, and we have to remember this, that there's money being made, but sometimes it is for good reason, and what's being proposed to you is actually good, and we have to keep that for us too.
Well, I just think that then something else will need to bring that to us. It won't be the part of the ad system. It'll be part of the, hey, we're the helpful suggested things system, or something else.
It shouldn't be called ads.
But we want it, right?
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I'm glad we could dive into this, and Matt, I really enjoyed your article, and stoked that a bunch of other people are going to be able to learn from it. And yeah, let's wrap up the show, and we can continue talking about all this stuff after the show. How about you guys plug some of your stuff, or plug somebody else's stuff if you're all plugged out? What about you, Matt?
Yeah, sure. So I have a few things in the works. I'm going to be at a Digital Hollywood event just covering for Road to VR next week, and I should just be learning about that. There's an interesting article that's still pending review for Road to VR about the auto industry. There is a ton of auto manufacturers and brands and corporations that have made amazing virtual reality demos that hasn't been rounded up yet, and that should be coming soon. On UploadVR, I'm focusing a lot on flashback. So it's the series that I started where we're rounding up virtual reality pioneers and those involved in the progressive movement at the time and getting their stories and their perspective on the changes that have happened. So there's a few people in the pipeline for that as well. And then in Orange County, I'm teaming up with a guy named Dylan Watkins who started a development-focused meetup group, Orange County VR, who we've got together a nice team to create a kind of more consumer-facing, more public awareness type of event that should bring in a lot more people than the development side, but also be able to showcase those that have created worlds and experiences through the hackathons to give them a platform to show some of their stuff, and that is projected to be in July. So just look out for some of that stuff. There's a lot in the works.
Wow, that's a lot.
One more thing. Two-bit circus is another one I just want to say is just look out for that, and that's all I'll say is just two-bit circus. Look for something in San Francisco in November. It's being
Did I
I lost him.
Yeah, we lost you.
Is that Jim?
He got most of it out.
Yeah,
Oh.
yes. Bad broadband.
Yeah, I did hear that Google actually might have their wireless thing come out announced tomorrow.
Satellite was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I said
Or
from
those
space.
air balloons.
Yeah.
From Mars.
Okay.
Okay. What about you,
Can I
Ruuubick?
plug in?
What's going on? Yeah, plug things.
Okay. Cool stuff. We have the beta weekend number 4 of AltSpace going from the 24th to the 25th. Lots of stuff. Mostly the most important stuff is the Dungeon and Dragon web app we got in AltSpace, and that's really, really cool. I think people are going to be really happy about that. It's going to be really fun. A few movie nights. Overall, the whole weekend is going to be filled with events. So if you've never tried AltSpace, just send a quick email to AltSpace@vr.com. No matter where you can find it, just send an email and we'll send you a password for the beta weekend. It's going to be really, really fun. We had at least 150 people last time who came. People even got their first time in VR in AltSpace, so that was pretty cool. Lots of cool stuff. The Kinect integration is completely done. We also added the Kinect leap motion integration with new ends, so that's pretty cool for people who got leap motion. And
that's gonna work with D&D, man. That's amazing.
That's amazing. So, and we're looking for developers. So also, if you have a developer looking for a job, you might want to go look at AltSpace careers. There might be something for you out there. Voila.
Awesome. Your turn.
Yeah, well, there's a SVR coming in less than a month now, so there's the early birds finish tomorrow, or very close, so you can save money on that. That's going to be an exciting meeting. It's in the Silicon Valley San Jose Convention Center. I hope to see as many people as possible. If there are people in the audience coming to that. And regarding Synthesis Universe, well, I'm getting things ready for Synthesis Universe to show a lot of things that I've been doing lately.
Awesome. Can't wait to see that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, for attending, and the audience. To my guests for coming on the show. You really make all this super cool. Also, thanks to Fructious for my keen avatar, and for my helpers here on the show, Kenny, Ortath, Tom, Aaron, all these people helping me stream, record, and bring this show to everybody. And also, of course, to VR Chat. The developers here are always pushing the limits and working really hard. And thanks to anybody else that I'm forgetting that I should be thanking. Don't forget to go to guntersuniverse.com, and that's where you can find all my contact, from Twitter to subreddit to YouTube to my Steam to my Skype, all that good stuff. Come chat with me. And yeah, we do this every week, Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Sunday, Rev Kyle streams all kinds of cool demos, so come check that out. I do plan on making this a spot for us to hang out and watch Rev Kyle stream, which we had some problems with our video today, so that may or may not happen. But we will try to do that. I think that'd be cool. Something I kind of always wanted to do. And yeah, after the Rev Kyle stream, that's 4 p.m. Eastern, then we jump into here in VR Chat, do a little meetup, and then go explore cool rooms that the community here has been creating. And with that said, time for me to go find a cow field and pick me some mushrooms. Good night, everybody. Awesome, thanks. You can jump now, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was nice and long.
Yeah.